So we've touched on this a little bit when we talked about the need for markets to work together to gain that interoperability and manage the more complicated liability legal side of it. And that's the key challenge that has to be overcome. Of course, the standards help. Will help the payment rails talk to each other, but it is just a standard after all. So yes, it's going to be a massive help, but that isn't the complicated bit. It's going to be, how do we work together between markets, and as we've just said, potentially focus on a number of use cases rather than going after every country in the world.
So I think ISO 2022, very exciting to have ISO as a standard across the globe. And one of the biggest reasons Swift was driving this was to make sure that we are removing friction when it comes to interoperability for cross-border payments. But we face some challenges purely with ISO, right? Because one of the biggest challenges is that we still have regional nuances when it comes to the messaging standards themselves. So I think there's a lot to solve for the different regions to make sure that the standard is used across the board in a kind of a seamless way, which we haven't yet achieved. And secondly, it's important to get the last mile involved in the standardization. So if you look at corporate players, that the players at the end of that journey that needs to give you that data that feeds into the message itself has to enable that. And that hasn't happened as yet. So we need to solve for those problems before we can get the best of what we can get for ISO 2022.